Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today, on the 4th of July, I am proud to say that I have done something that really embodies the meaning of this holiday. American Independence Day is supposed to be about the founding principles of the United States. And it's extremely clear from even a rudimentary study of history that individual liberty, individual sovereignty, individual privacy are among those founding principles. The Bill of Rights, and in particular the Fourth Amendment, enshrine these principles in the highest American law. Today, a nationwide nonpartisan organization, Restore the Fourth, held protests in over 100 cities in order to express Americans' displeasure and discontentment with the blanket NSA surveillance that we have all become familiar with over the past month. I am proud to say that I participated in a Restore the Fourth protest in downtown Carson City near the legislature building and the Capitol. And this event in northern Nevada drew about 25 people, which is an excellent turnout for that area. It's not a densely populated area. However, the people who were there were passionate and enthusiastic. They knew why they were there. They knew about their constitutional rights. And they wanted to express their preference that their private lives not be snooped into. It was a very civil, very polite event. We stood on the grass. We held signs. The legislative police were supportive of the event. They recognized that it was part of our freedom of expression as long as we were not obstructing tourist traffic. Everything was fine, and all interactions were cordial. A lot of cars drove by. We got a lot of signs of support from the drivers and passengers in them, a lot of honks of support, a lot of gestures of thumbs up, and it seems to me that a lot of Americans are also outraged at the unconstitutional surveillance that the NSA has been conducting in clear, blatant disregard of the Constitution and of the wording of the Fourth Amendment, which does not require any further explanation, interpretation, or justification. These kinds of blanket data gathering programs are precisely what the Fourth Amendment is intended to prevent. A search of a person who's not even suspected of a crime, whose specific case was not reviewed by a judge, for whose specific individual information a warrant was never presented, was never provided. This is exactly what the Bill of Rights is supposed to protect us against, and yet it is happening, and it was happening in secret since at least 2007. So I'm very encouraged that finally we are seeing some organized displeasure arising. I went around to interview a lot of the protesters who were present and simply asked them about what their motivation was for being there, what they would like to say about why this event was important to them, and I got some excellent responses from them. Once the raw footage becomes available, I am going to post some excerpts from it onto my YouTube channel, hopefully capturing the highlights of the conversations and the various perspectives, the very interesting perspectives that I encountered there. Furthermore, I was fortunate enough to be interviewed by the Reno Gazette-Journal, and I've linked here in the references section accompanying this video to some brief footage of me discussing how this NSA surveillance program is beyond the wildest dreams of the officials in the former USSR where I was born. And certainly the Soviet regime would have loved to conduct a program of blanket surveillance like this and to know what its citizens were engaged in their private spheres, but it simply lacked the technology. And so at this point, we are at risk of becoming the victims of an Orwellian surveillance state unlike anything that has existed in history, even within the totalitarian regimes of the 20th century. It is high time that we stood up for our liberties, because this is perhaps the last opportunity that we would have. But my hope is, if enough of us express that we do not approve of this unconstitutional surveillance, then the tide of political thinking will also turn. At the very least, though, I am satisfied that I wasn't just a passive accomplice in this, that I didn't just allow it to happen and resign myself to it. A lot of people just want to get on with their lives, and I fully understand that. People like that are decent, they are peaceful, they are civilized. Unfortunately, right now the federal government is taking that choice away from them, because they try to lead their private lives in peace and prosperity, but the NSA surveillance system is changing the very basis on which that kind of life can be lived. If every communication that you have is subject to surveillance at the highest levels of government, how safe are you truly? And how much of what you do with fully good intentions could be taken out of context? Would you really want your Google search history to be accessible to the federal government, even if you were completely innocuous about your searches and had 100% pure motives? If they see those keywords, how much meaning would they read into them? And how erroneous would their interpretations be, particularly if they're based on algorithms and statistical generalizations, which are typically extremely flawed? So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that the Restore the Fourth events will trigger even more of an outcry among Americans and everywhere else in the world of disapproval regarding these unconstitutional spying measures by the National Security Agency. Thank you very much.